It's a Minimalist Monday edition of Optimal Living Daily, episode 1921, Why You Shouldn't Feel Like a Minimalist Imposter by Sarah Moss with NoSidebar.com, and I'm Justin Malik. Happy Monday and welcome back to the Optimal Living Daily podcast, OLD, where I read to you every single day of the year. Now today I have a post from a popular site called No Sidebar. Then after I'm going to share something nice from our Vibely community, so stick around for that after the reading. But for now, let's get right to the post as we optimize your life. Why You Shouldn't Feel Like a Minimalist Imposter by Sarah Moss with NoSidebar.com. You've tried to build margin into your life, but it keeps getting gobbled up by committee meetings or work obligations. You've already decluttered your home, but the clutter seems to be creeping back in and you don't have time to go back through it again. Between your job, the kids' extracurricular activities, and everything else that goes with life, you feel like you're not getting any closer to your minimalist goals. You're frustrated and starting to feel like a minimalist imposter. Lately, I've been feeling like a minimalist imposter too. I write and talk about living with less stuff, less mental clutter, less worry, when my life is currently filled to the brim with stuff, clutter, and worry. I recently went from having one job to being in graduate school and working two jobs, which means that my life has picked up speed. What margin I had in my life has disappeared. Now I feel like I'm always short on time and surrounded by clutter. It seems like a real minimalist would look at my situation and say, give something up, just say no. Focus on getting rid of more of your stuff so that it doesn't drive you nuts. Here's the thing though, there's no one right way to be a minimalist. Yes, minimalism champions being more with less, but that doesn't mean that you're wrong for living the life you're living. Here are 4 tips I've reminded myself of lately, and I think they might help you too if you're feeling like a minimalist imposter right now. Number 1, live your life, but pay attention to where you can make some changes. At this point, you might not feel like you can cut anything out of your life, so don't. Just ride the crazy waves of your life for a while. However, pay attention to the patterns and rhythms of your daily routines. Keep thinking about what takes priority during this season of your life and consider if there are ways you can make small changes that'll improve your quality of life. For example, I've always enjoyed cooking meals from scratch. However, with my current schedule, I found that I'll buy fresh ingredients for the week, but when dinner comes around, my husband and I will go out to eat because we think we don't have enough time to make food from scratch. As you can imagine, that's been bad on our checkbooks and waistlines. Since recognizing that pattern, we've made a switch. Now we purchase frozen foods, primarily the healthier kinds that have vegetables and meat, that save us time and money. It's not the same as making meals from scratch, but it's also not eating out for every meal. I've recognized that in this season of my life, I'm not going to be as ambitious of a cook as I've traditionally been, and that's okay. Consider ways that you can make some relatively painless changes to your life. Determine what should take priority right now, and try your best to not hold yourself to routines that just don't work for you anymore. Number 2, try to not get caught up in the busyness. It's one thing to be busy, and it's another to focus on how busy you are. If you fixate on your own busyness, you'll likely start comparing your life to someone else's. Theodore Roosevelt said it well, quote, "Comparison is the thief of joy," end quote. Our lives are not meant to be competitions on who is busiest or who has it together the best. You're stealing your own joy when you constantly talk or think about how busy you are. Plus, you have no idea what someone else's life is actually like. On paper, their life might seem so much more enjoyable or ideal, but in reality, they're struggling just as much as you are. Instead of focusing on how busy you are, try to reflect on what is so good about your life right now. As Henry Matisse once said, quote, "There are always flowers for those who want to see them," end quote. Stop fixating on busyness and appreciate some of the beautiful things that are happening right now. Like flowers, these beautiful things probably won't last forever, so enjoy them while you can. Number 3, be grateful for the choices you have. Right now, I want to be in graduate school and I want to work my dream job. I made the choice to be where I am right now. I am grateful I can even make a choice to follow my dreams. That's a privilege that many people don't get. Yes, I feel a little sorry for myself sometimes, but I'm also trying my best to remind myself that this is what I want right now in my life. I've chosen to be here. If you've chosen to be where you are now, acknowledge that and own it. You're not a bad person for feeling bad for yourself every once in a while, but remember to be grateful to have the opportunity to do what you're doing right now. It's a wonderful gift, even if it doesn't always feel like it. And number 4, cut yourself some slack. You have a lot of responsibilities and not a lot of margin in your life. You're watching all those minimalist goals you set for yourself seemingly fall by the wayside. Your friends and family try to talk to you about their own minimalist goals, but you can barely get a sentence or two out in response because you're feeling like a minimalist imposter. Don't feel like a minimalist imposter. Instead, cut yourself some slack and practice self-compassion. Dr. Kristen Neff, self-compassion expert, provides a great framework for how to do this well. Be kind to yourself, consider that everyone has shortcomings, and be mindful of not being swept away by negative thoughts and feelings. I'm trying to do the same. My life doesn't look like a minimalist dream right now, but I know that doesn't make me any less of a minimalist at heart. You just listened to the post titled, Why You Shouldn't Feel Like a Minimalist Imposter by Sarah Moss with NoSidebar.com. All right, it's sponsor time. Instead of reading a script about Gusto's payroll and benefits, I wanted to tell you what small business owners say, the people like me who use Gusto every day. Here's what one business says. Gusto is effortless, which is how I like HR. Out of sight, out of mind, yet doing what it is supposed to do. And that's exactly why I use it for Optimal Living Daily. It works without me having to touch it. Tom S. says, Gusto has allowed my small company to offer big-time benefits without an HR department. And also true for me, I was able to get health and dental benefits straight through Gusto. Setup was a breeze. And here's what Laura L. says, with Gusto, even my employees are impressed with how easy their new hire paperwork is. For us on the OLD team, it's super easy to get people on board. Another one of my favorite features from Gusto. And the list goes on. And right now, our listeners get 3 months free when they go to gusto.com/old. That's 3 months of payroll, benefits, admin, and more totally free. Again, that's gusto.com/old. Now I have another feature from our Vibely community. I shared one a little while ago, and we've been sharing one about once a week between Optimal Living Daily and Optimal Living Advice and Optimal Relationships Daily. We've been having a lot of great prompts on Vibely and then getting advice and interesting perspectives from you, our listeners, which is awesome. We definitely recommend you join if you haven't already. There's a link in this episode's description so you can share your wisdom and have fun back and forth with the hosts and other listeners about all the things we cover in the OLD network: finances, health, business, psychology, mindfulness, and more. We recently had a prompt asking listeners what the best investment is that they've ever made. And here's one of my favorite responses from listener Becky. I'm completing this early with the expectation that this will be my greatest investment in not only myself, but my family. Backstory, I've been married for 5.5 years with 2 stepchildren, girls now 13 and gulp almost 16. They haven't seen their mother in 4 years, even though she is in the bordering town with her husband and 2 new babies. The girls were removed due to abuse. They've had a really rough go of things. Lately, things have escalated in ways we never expected, and it's time for all of us to be better. We started watching Headspace Guide to Meditation on Netflix, and everyone really enjoys it. So today I committed to the yearly subscription so we can continue to meditate together more regularly. I'm excited to see what this will do for us together. So there you have it. Thanks a lot to Becky for sharing this and being so vulnerable about a tough subject. Super admirable that she's realizing how all of her family could be doing better and making an effort to do so. We really appreciate Becky's effort, and I'm sure her family does too. So that'll do it for today. Have a great rest of your Minimalist Monday. And I'll be back tomorrow reading to you as usual, where your optimal life awaits.